Hi, I'm Frank Proto. I'm a professional chef and culinary instructor, and today I'm going to show you the best way to make roasted potatoes at home. We're talking everything you need to know about making roasted potatoes crispy on the outside and soft and fluffy in the middle. This is Roasted Potatoes 101. This recipe is not hard. It doesn't take a lot of ingredients. It doesn't take a lot of special items. Let's go prep our potatoes. The potatoes we're using today are russets. Russets are a starchy potato that roasts up really well. A lot of times when you have French fries, they're using russets. So these are the ones that get crisp on the outside and soft and fluffy in the middle. For the most part, I'm peeling these potatoes because I want to par cook them. Basically, the starch is going to gelatinize, and we're going to have a nice kind of crust on the outside from that. You can do these with the jackets on, that's fine, but I feel like you get a better crunch if you take the skin off. You can see the potato is long and skinny. I usually take the top and the bottom off, and then we peel in between, so we kind of just do a clean sweep of the potato. It shouldn't take more than 10 seconds per potato. So I'm gonna put this potato in the water not only to kind of wash off the outside, but to also keep them from oxidizing. You'll see the oxidation pretty much starts fairly quickly. It'll start to turn kind of grayish or grayish brown. Is it bad at that point? No, you can peel it again and get all that gray off and then put it in some water. You don't wanna do it for too long. I usually do it for maybe 3 or 4 hours if I have to, but I wouldn't put these in the fridge overnight. So at this point, our potatoes are in the water. They are rinsed off really nice, but all that stuff that was on the outside is kind of floating around in my water. What I wanna do is dump this water out, put some fresh water on top to cook the potatoes. Our potatoes are in clean water, and now we're gonna cut them into the perfect size. So I'm gonna take my potato and I'm gonna cut it in half. Now, I think that this might be a little too large for one bite, but I think this is a great size. Not only do they cook fairly quickly, you have a nice ratio of crunchy outside and soft inside. What I found with this method is that I get a good, consistent result that's delicious. By starting the potatoes out in cold salted water, we're gonna start the process of cooking the potatoes through. So if we don't do this step, the outside of the potato is gonna be crispy and the inside will be hard. And I'm not shy about the salt because it seasons that outside of the potato. So give that a quick stir with your spider. Once it comes to a boil, we're gonna lower down to a simmer. We don't want this to boil the whole time because what happens is the water's really rough, the potatoes kind of hit into each other and they start to break up and fall apart and give off too much starch. Boiling potatoes can take anywhere between 5 and 15 minutes, but for the most part, they're in the simmering water for a short amount of time. A lot of people will be tempted to get in there and start stirring things up. Don't, just leave it alone. Let them come to a boil gently, lower them down, and then we can get in there and see if they're ready to go or not. Now the potatoes are boiling. I'm gonna lower it till it's just a light simmer. We see little bubbles here and there. We wanna get these at the right stage so that they're slightly cooked. I'm gonna stick my knife in here, and you can see that it holds onto the potato. It's sliding just slightly. The outside is soft. You can see when I stick my finger in there, I get an indentation, and that's what I want. Also, if I get my nail, put my nail in it, the top layer kind of squeezes off. So it's time to take these potatoes out of the water. Let's shut our water off. You could use a colander, but I find using one of these spiders is a lot more efficient. We want the potatoes to be dry at this point. The drier the potato, the quicker it browns. You can see that there's steam coming off them, which is drying them out as well. Before we put these into the pan, we need them to cool all the way. What that does is it allows the starch on the outside to firm up. That's going to ensure a nice crispy crust. I want that brown crust, so I start my potatoes in a cast iron skillet on the stove. The reason I choose cast iron is because it holds the heat really well. I can tell my pan is ready because I do see a little wisp of smoke coming off of it. Today's potatoes, we're using ghee, which is basically just a clarified butter. It has good flavor and it has a high smoke point. We want to have a high smoke point so our oil does not degrade and give us weird off flavors. So Chef Frank, why don't you just use whole butter? If I use whole butter, the solids in the whole butter are going to burn before the potatoes are actually cooked. With the ghee, I'm not shy, right? I'm going to plop it in there. Ghee is butter without any solids in it, so you shouldn't hear a lot of snap, crackle, and pop going on. It should be just kind of a light little crackle. You can see my fat is hot. I have a light haze of smoke. That's good. I have it on low heat right now. I'm gonna turn it up just a little before I add my potatoes, because when I add the potatoes to the pan, it's gonna cool the pan off slightly, and I don't want that. I wanna try and maintain temperature. I'm gonna start with the flat sides. You can see as I put them in the pan, what's happening? I see bubbles. Bubbles are good. Bubbles usually mean that the moisture is cooking off and the fat is doing its job by browning the outside. I try not to overcrowd the pan. If I put too many potatoes in there, we're not gonna get a nice even brown. We're gonna get kind of a more spotty brown, and they might give off some moisture and stop the browning process from happening. Moisture is the enemy of brown, crispy goodness. At this point, my potatoes are bubbling away happily. I'm gonna turn my heat up just a little bit, and I'm gonna give them a check, right? They shouldn't be sticking, but they should also be starting to brown. I think it's a good opportunity to put a little seasoning on these right now. We'll go with a little bit of salt, a little bit of black pepper. I go light on the seasoning right now because I like to season throughout the process. Seasoning throughout the process ensures that we season evenly. Things aren't salty, they just have really good flavor. All right, let's look at our potatoes. I'm starting off some nice browning on the outside. What we're gonna do is we're gonna turn them now. Look at how beautiful that is. It's starting to get nice and brown, right? And that's what we want. We want the brown to be started, and then we can throw these puppies in the oven. So now I'm gonna take these and put them into a preheated 400-degree oven to continue that beautiful browning. The potatoes are gonna be in the oven for about 20 to 25 minutes. At about the halfway mark, we're gonna turn them over so that we ensure we get that nice golden crust all the way around. So these potatoes are about halfway through and they're ready to flip or turn. So you can see what's happening over here. We're getting more brown. So I'm gonna give them another turn, try to get as brown as we can on all sides. Smells delicious. Looks delicious. Now we can put them back in the oven just to finish cooking. Potatoes are out of the oven. They're crispy and delicious looking. What I like to do at this point is take them out of the pan and let them drain on paper towels just to get any excess fat off of them. And back in the day when I worked at McDonald's, this is what they would use on the fries, fine salt. Basically a popcorn salt, and it's called popcorn salt because it's super fine and it sticks to the popcorn. If you don't have popcorn salt, just get a blender out, blitz up a little regular salt, and you'll have a nice fine salt for this. It's been a long time since I worked at McDonald's, but this is one of those things that stuck with me throughout my culinary career. For our final garnish, I'm gonna add some herbs to these. I chose chives and parsley. First of all, chives have a nice oniony bite, and I love that, right? We'll take a little bit of a parsley, and the parsley gives us a lot of freshness, right? We have that rich butter in there. We're gonna have a buttery flavor, and the parsley and the chives is just gonna kind of lift it up and slightly cut it. So you take your parsley, roll it up, and then I'm just gonna chop. I always add my herbs at the end. If you put them in the pan, pretty much all the flavor goes away and they burn and they get too dark and they're just little burned bits on your potatoes. Buttery, herby, and delicious. And there you have it, the best way to make roasted potatoes. Okay, it's time to taste. Look at how beautiful they look, right? We can hear that that's crispy on top, and that's what we want. Right, so crispy on the outside. Look how soft and fluffy that is on the inside. So let's give it a taste. Actually, it's a little on the creamy side on the inside. The outside's got this nice nutty flavor from that ghee. So even though there's a couple of extra steps with these, it is worth it 100%. Look at that inside, nice and soft. If you want to show your chef skills off to people, make them some roasted potatoes. Simple, easy, and delicious.